What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Noob. It's that time again. Time for me to recommend a manga of my choosing. Now, I decided not to go to isekai route, even though I love isekais. I've decided to get an adventure story. You know the classic story about the sword and the stone? Well, this manga that I'm going to be bringing you is not that typical Disney one that we are all used to. The general title that I could find that was in English on this is a little long, but it pretty much sums up the manga. The eternal D-ranked middle-aged adventurer pulls out the legendary sword while drunk. Yes, it's one of those literal titles, but it basically covers the first part of this manga. Meet Lucas. He is a 37-year-old swordsman, or should I say former swordsman adventurer. See, back when he was younger, when he finally raised rank to D level, unfortunately he had a bit of an accident and his hand was damaged permanently. Now, as someone who has had both his hands broken and in cast, I could tell you right now, trying to relearn certain things with your hands after having them injured for so long is a pain in the ass. Now, skip ahead many years, Lucas is now 37. He's much older, and unfortunately, since he can no longer fight, he has basically become a porter to other adventurers. A porter is basically a luggage carrier. They go on adventures. He's usually carrying the supplies, the medical, extra weapons, stuff like that. And unfortunately, he is very miserable. This was not the life that he wanted. He always dreamt of being a hero, being an adventurer, and his life has gone down the drain. Well, one night, while getting stupidly drunk after dealing with some really pain-in-the-ass adventures, he basically, in a drunken rage, goes to this very popular site in this adventuring town. See, at this site, there is a stone with a sword in it that is supposed to be legendary. Basically, whoever pulls this out will be the next hero of the world. Like I said, in a drunken rage, he basically yanks this sword out, then goes back to his inn and passes out. The next morning, our adventurer Lucas wakes up with a terrible hangover. So when he goes to wash his face, he looks in the mirror, and lo and behold, he is no longer looking like his old 37-year-old self. His features have changed. He's become younger, a little different. And that is when he remembers that he pulled the sword out of the stone. Now, this is not your ordinary sword. No. The legendary sword in this world actually has a soul of its own, to the point where it can even talk to him. Meet the divine sword, Venus Wicket. Venus Wicket, the legendary sword, is not what I would consider a typical kind of sword. Basically, his personality is that of an old, perverted man. Even though he gives Lucas the basic stats that you get with a legendary sword, you know, he's fully healed, he's younger, his stats have been raised up significantly, this old man, because I'm sorry, that's what this sword is, basically, without missing a beat, reminds him that he hasn't had sex in a while, and that his libido had been down, so he regenerates that. Now, you are wondering why he would regenerate this. Well, this manga has a harem twist to the hero legend. See, the sword has a unique characteristic about it. The more women that our main character forms love contracts with, the more powerful he will get. That's right, folks. The more women that he sleeps with and forms these love contracts with, the more powerful he will get. And that is why I'm reading this manga. It is both ecchi, yet fantasy adventure. Now, you'd be wondering, what kind of god would create a sword like this? Well, the goddess's name is Vigene. V-I-G-N-E. I cannot pronounce that, so forgive me. But she is the goddess of love and victory, so of course she would put this little tweak in it. Now, our boy, of course, he's now younger, more stronger and all that. He decides he's going to go test out his new powers, and he goes out and defeats a bunch of orcs and goblins. And of course, he is seeing, I am doing great. But while he's out there, he actually stumbles across that ex-group that he was working with the other day, the ones that kind of treated him like crap, and saves them from a monster. Now, they, of course, a lot of them were on deathbeds, so he throws potions on them, revives them, saves them, and there comes a little bonus to this. The witch of this party basically falls head over heel for him. Her name is Mary, and slut is the only way to put it. She will sleep with a lot of people, and basically because he saved her, she wants to have sex with him. Now, at first, he goes, no, I don't want this, and walks off and leaves this. He's not trying to go down the harem route at first, especially since he knows that she's kind of like that. But lo and behold, she shows up later, he's drunk, and she's very persistent, and then she says that she wants to sleep with him, and he gives into it. Luckily for us, she's a one-night stand. She is not going to be part of the harem, even though she is very nice to look at. Because she's very slutty, he does not want to do that. Now, like I said, this is an adventure manga, so yes, there's a harem twist to it, but our boy decides to go on adventure. He decides to go try to do some of his dreams. He wanted to be a knight, so after this one-night stand, he gets in a cart and decides he's going to head off to the Knight Academy. While on the trip there, he fights a Wayron, which is basically a small version of a dragon, and he meets up with someone who will be part of his life for a very long time. Meet Aria. Aria is a very unique character because her family used to be very prestigious, used to be kind of like a noble. Her father was a legendary swordsman who worked for royalties, but after some basically rumors and scandalous stuff came out against him, which were all false. Her father was executed, the land was taken, stripped of the title, so her whole purpose to get to this knighthood school is to become a knight and restore some honor. She, of course, comes across someone from her past from one of the families who made false accusations against her and her father. Laios is what I would consider one of the most disgusting kind of royalty, heiress, noblemen that there are. Basically, he just wants her for her body. Luckily, her and Lucas team up together. They go through the trials, they help pass everything out, and it's all a bit normal. But she does notice that he talks to his sword a lot, so eventually the sword decides to talk to her. Once handing over to her, he talks to her and informs her about these queen contracts, which are the things that his lovers, to help him get more powerful, can become. And luckily, if she becomes a queen candidate, she can get a replica sword just like the legendary sword. Now, at first, Lucas is like, no, I'm not trying to sleep with her. I'm 37, she's 16, this is not gonna work. But the sword and Aria definitely don't give this man a chance. She takes him out on a date, she gets him stupidly drunk, and then when they're alone, she basically, kind of in the lewd, says, please embrace me. Of course, you can imagine what happened. They ended up having sex. The next morning, of course, Lucas feels bad about this. He was drunk and slept with someone who's 16-year-old. And folks, you have to remember, in fantasy worlds, 16 is adult. So, before any of you get a little weird, remember that fact. He, of course, is upset, telling her that you shouldn't have thrown your body at me. It doesn't matter if you want power. Doing that with someone you don't like is wrong. But she has actually fallen in love with him because he's very helpful. He has protected her, and she actually really liked him. Which is kind of cool because, like the sword said, she now gets a power boost, he gets a power boost, and not only that, she gets a cool title. Aria has now become the Crimson Princess that is the ruler of the Flames. Now, I'm sorry. If I'm going to get a title for sleeping with someone, you can't go wrong with that kind of title. This is where the story has gone so far on this manga, and I want to see more because, as you can see from this picture, there's going to be several more people that are added to his harem. There's, of course, the redhead, who we already have. There looks to be an elf. There looks to be someone who looks to be like a fighter, and then, I'm sorry, the silver-haired girl, she better turn into a fucking dragon or something, because as of right now, she looks like a lolly, and she better be legal. I like the story so far because, yes, it's ecchi, but it's your typical adventure story. I like the little twist about the harem that have to grow, but it's not just, I'm powerful, let me get a harem. No. they're going to become companions that will help him in his adventures. And luckily, he will be able to help them on their adventures. I want to see where this goes because, let's face it, most of the time when you get legendary swords that can actually talk or something, most of them are kind of proud and dignified and all this. And yet you got this one who's screaming he wants to watch them have sex and gets upset when he can't. I find that hilarious, and I want to see where this manga goes from here. Folks, what about you? Are you the type who likes the adventure stories, the fantasy world adventure legendary swords, the sword in the stone, or are you going to be reading this just for the ecchi? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, folks, I'm the Noob. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch y'all later. See ya!